Town Council. Would everybody please rise? Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is the agenda approval.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Second item is the consent agenda. Any questions so far?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Pretty fast. I would make a motion to amend the agenda at this point. We can move it.
Okay. Do you want to move it to item 7?
Can you do that now, though?
I don't know. The guy who's supposed to inform us whether we could do that is out of the building. Well, this is what Alex is concerned about, is the next agenda item. So,
Let's move on. We'll come back to it.
It's right there.
we already approved the agenda. Would you like us to move the agenda item down? Because we're at that item.
That probably would be a good idea, because I gotta check something here.
I'll just make a motion to get it all the way to the end.
Okay.
To item 12. Item 13.
Okay. I move to amend the agenda so item 6 becomes item 13.
Second.
Moved and seconded to amend the agenda item to move item 6 to item 13. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7, proposed recreation fees. Sonia, do you have any input that you'd like to talk about on?
In case you guys have any questions or anything.
Okay.
I thought I did have a question. Oh, on the Longhorn Stampede, you have your fees going down. So was that something you meant to do? I was just checking.
Actually, no, it wasn't.
That's a typo on my
Oh,
part.
okay.
It should be staying the same.
Okay.
Okay.
20 and 25.
I think the biggest thing to note on this recommended activity and facility rates for 2022, 2023 is that we are proposing that we negate any pool fees that were put into place in years past, and that admission be free for open swim times as well as lap swim. We do recommend a slight increase in the cost for swim lessons, pool rentals. And that's mostly to cover the cost of the lifeguards that need to be on staff for those events. However, Again, for open swim and lap swim, we are recommending that there be no fee to use the pool.
So the bus trips are a per person
Correct.
fee? Okay.
Are we gonna discuss at a later date potentially keeping the pool open longer?
I don't know how to officially put it in this, but I don't mind discussing it right
We don't
now.
need
I
to discuss
think
it now, it's just curious based on our.
we had some discussion based on the pool fees, Sonia, about trying to maybe capture a couple more weekends in the fall and maybe making the pool available longer if we can plan ahead and try to find coverage in terms of lifeguards for potentially going into August a bit further. You know, I don't know exactly what that looks like because I haven't looked at the calendar, but Jana brought that up, and I think we all in our discussion thought that that was something we should probably try to look at to see if we can do Friday through Sunday for a couple more weeks maybe, or depending on the weather. But some of those late August weekends are hot, and if, you know, we don't know what that's gonna look like in terms of attendance, but something we would like to look at.
Whatever, I can tell you what usually happens if you're interested.
Okay.
Usually after the fair, and actually even before fair, the attendance drops. Like after trail days, it starts dropping off just because of numerous things, fair time for kids. And the other thing is the novelty has worn off. People are starting to get ready for school. End of August, usually people are like, we haven't had a vacation yet, we need to go somewhere, you know. I mean, there's all kinds of different ideas or reasons why, but it drops dramatically, really, in attendance, normally. We can look into doing that. One thing we have to take into consideration, and which this happens every year too, is all of our lifeguards, except for Heather, are the athletes in the school who, once school starts and then all of a sudden they have activities, athletic events that they have to be to, or whether it's a game or practice or whatever it is. So, because right now I have interviews set up and most of them are in the evenings because the kids have track practice till 6 or whatever. So most of them, and it's always been like that. The athletes of the school are the ones that come the most, not all the time, but most of the time. So that you have to take into consideration. You cannot open a pool with one lifeguard.
Right.
Because if there was a situation, an
So-
emergency situation.
So what if we, got a jump start on it mid-year and just started gauging the interest of those folks? I mean, I don't think we have to set it in stone, but I guess for all of us, we would like to at least, see if there's interest in a few of the lifeguards of sticking around, like set the dates out, have them look at their calendars and say, in late July and say, hey, we'd like to try to cover this, but we need to sign up, and if you sign up, you're committed to doing this.
I sometimes we have a problem just keeping them till the, last Saturday before school starts. So, but we can work with it and adjust. But the other thing just to keep in mind is you can't just stop pouring chemical into a pool for the week and then shove chemical in it and expect it to be good for the weekend. You'll have to keep paying the chemical cost as if it was open, even during the week as well. So
It sounds like
you're putting in
though,
chemical and you're heating it for,
Right.
I don't know that we would be able to find workers, but, I mean, we can, you know, I'll do whatever you guys wanna do, but in the past, that is why we have closed when we have, because when we did leave it open, we had a handful of kids, and I mean a handful, like 4, 3, maybe at the you know.
You know, we're talking Saturdays and Sundays, right?
Yeah, Fridays.
And most of the kids that are in sports practice in the week. On the weekend, they don't practice.
Well, that's what I was saying, they just need to look at their
They
schedules.
just need to
and
look
know
at
what
the
they're-
schedule and find out.
A Sunday might be okay, but a lot of times they have games on Saturdays, right?
Well, depending
Depends
on
on the
when the
sport.
season starts.
Volleyball and football,
Yeah, but
Volleyball's not usually on
football
Football's on
starts.
Fridays.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think you'd have more lifeguards available. I think you'd have more than you'd think, potentially, depending upon who you hire. And I also think, based on how much money we put into this pool, it seems a shame that it's only open for 2 months. One of those months, which is actually quite cold. June's not that warm here usually. And then August is usually boiling hot, and it's closed for half that month. And I understand, you know, getting people in or for your lifeguards is difficult, but, you know, if we're gonna be putting money into this pool, I think we should use it and have people going to it, at least see this year. If it doesn't work, great. It doesn't, we can say we tried and try again in a few years.
Sure.
But I think it'd be really wise of us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see.
So what are you thinking right now? It's set up for August 20th.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll all look at the calendar and see what we think is
Well, and see
reasonable to try, and see what you think is reasonable to try, and
what her lifeguards can do.
see what the lifeguard situation looks like, and go from there. I mean, I just feel like it's really hard to decide that right now when we don't know what the pool of lifeguards actually is yet.
But
You
we
know,
have, right now, we have 2 that are coming back. Possibly 3. But that also, when Laramie starts, that some of it, I really don't know, but 2, I believe, that are coming back that have guarded in the past, possibly 3. And then the rest of them are all new high school. So, and normally, this is the other thing, once they, well, we can just see how it works.
I would just rather revisit it once we get the pool going and see what it looks like.
Yeah, as long
Like-
as the lifeguard she hires are
Yeah.
aware that that's a potential.
We hire
Yeah.
we hire what applies and passes the class. So that's what we have so far. We have 3 coming back, and I'm hoping we have 4 that pass the class.
Okay. We need to approve these rates.
Move to approve the new rates.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the new recreation fees. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Alright,
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, resolution 2022-05 budget adjustment.
Mayor and Council, Resolution 2022-05 is, we're required to submit a resolution whenever we make an adjustment to the budget where we're adding in funds that were not anticipated. In this case, we got the final grant documents for the rehabilitation of well number 7, so we are capturing the revenues of $26,365, which will cover the expenses related to that well's repair and rehabilitation.
So this is resolution number 2022-05, did you read it officially? I think I have to read it officially.
I didn't read it, no.
Okay. A resolution amending the Town of Pine Bluffs fiscal year 2021 to 2022 budget to capture revenues and expenditures related to the mineral royalty grant from the State Loan and Investment Board, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
What's well number 7 on there? Is that,
Well, number 7 was
This
the
is-
well that went down because.
I mean, the grant, and then you said project, that was the whole,
Right, so one is the revenue, one is the expense.
okay.
Yep.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-05.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve resolution number 2022-05. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next is resolution 2022-06, reimbursement resolution for the Six Penny Fund. It is reimbursement resolution, a resolution of the governing body of the town of Pine Bluffs, Wyoming, declaring its reasonable expectation to reimburse itself with the proceeds of a future tax exempt obligation for certain capital expenditures in connection with a project undertaken by it, identifying said project, and providing certain other matters in connection therewith.
In a nutshell, this is because we really want to be rolling on some of our six-penny projects. We already discussed the bonding of those projects, but we don't anticipate the bonding to come through until sometime next month. But we do have some projects where we've released the RFP and would like to get going on them so that we are not holding up other projects. For instance, our central low nitrate deep well is pretty much ready to go. We can operate it manually now, but we don't want to attach the current SCADA system to it when we are in the process of upgrading to the new SCADA system. And then there are some other projects where, you know, we're very close to shovel ready. And in some cases, we are shovel ready, so we want to be sure that we can start on those while the construction season is upon us.
I move to approve resolution number 2022-06.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2022-06. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, net metering agreement. I don't really know what to say about this, other than it's somewhat self-explanatory, but it's pretty wordy about things we haven't really run into much yet, but anticipate in the future. So, I guess I don't have any general concerns about it.
No, I mean, first of all, I would like to thank our partners at High West Energy for sharing their net metering policy, and so we followed suit with a lot of the language is very similar to their policy, and you know, this does provide for net metering to be put in place so that at the end of the year, a customer could potentially get money back if they are on the plus side of flowing energy back into the town, or the town's grid, I should say. And this also covers the safety aspect that we had talked about previously, about ensuring that there is there's a final inspection before they are allowed to power up their system to ensure that all of the interconnection requirements are in place, and that disconnects and signage and all that is in place for any linemen that would be working on the grid. This could potentially also cover net metering if a person were to put in wind power in addition to or in lieu of solar. And if somebody's got a waterfall out there that we don't know of, maybe hydro as well. So,
This will protect our system, right?
yes, this will protect our system, and it will protect our workers as well as any contracted workers that are doing any line maintenance during a power outage.
I move to approve this net metering agreement.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the net metering agreement. Any discussion?
I have one more question.
Sure.
So under the price and payment, it says the town has the right of first refusal to purchase any excess energy generated. So if the town wants to, they can buy the excess power back or whatever, or not?
Well, there really is no if not, so.
Okay, well, it's just how it was worded. Just
Right.
the first right of refusal. so
Well,
I'm
that just
curious.
means that basically they can't go out and try and
Okay,
sell it to somebody else before selling it back to the town.
okay.
It also maybe does leave it a little
Vague,
open-ended,
okay.
but it also states that we will,
Pay for excess power. Okay, just making sure, because I know
At a-
lots of companies
at
do not.
avoided cost, which is not
Yeah,
retail.
okay. Thank you.
I didn't catch that in there. Any other discussion? It's been moved and seconded. We approve the net metering agreement. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item number 11, ordinance 2022-05. An ordinance amending Chapter 5 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Pine Bluffs, Wyoming, entitled Building Regulations by creating Article 10, modifying and reorganizing those provisions governing the implementation of solar access permit system, establishing a procedure for permitting and providing an effective date. I guess, Kim, do you want to?
I believe you've all had a chance to read through this ordinance. We are, this is primarily the first reading so that you all can continue to review this ordinance. We do require that, there's a permit, that there are certain permit fees. We are not looking to do anything different other than updating our regular building permit right now to add solar access rights to that. However, if you would like to see a different permit process, we can definitely make that happen as well. And then our Public Works Utilities Director would go out and, again, like he does with other permits, go out and review the property to be sure that he understands the plans. There is a question that we still have floating out there on the final sign off on that permit, if the fire marshal's office needs to sign off on it no matter what, or only if they have a battery backup system that they are putting in place as well. And there's a little discrepancy between a couple of things that we've read and heard so far, so we're just making sure we get final clarification on that piece of it. And it also talks about the, that once this person puts up their solar system, they have what is referred to as a solar right at that point. And basically, after that, then we have to be cognizant that anybody that builds on properties abutting that property, that they do not interfere with that solar right. So most of the time, if it's rooftop access, I can't imagine that it would be interfered with too much unless somebody decides to plant, you know, a tree that could get really, really big. But if somebody, you know, decides to build a two-story house next to a single-story house, and they're both really, really close to their area where they can build on their property lines, then, you know, you never know, there could be. So this ordinance covers that, you know, it talks about the different timeframes, you know, on when it's appropriate for us to measure the amount of, you know, solar power that they can get, and all that, all those specific things. But does anybody have any questions through what they have read so far?
I have a question for Alex about this. So have you ever seen this enforced as a problem? I mean, it states in here that you're gonna have to file with, the access will be filed with the county. Presumably, when you buy the property, you will be informed that there is a solar access going across the property you're going to buy. But it's up to us to clarify any building permit that comes in front of us from there into the future, that somehow we're not impeding on this solar access.
Yeah, I had one in Cheyenne, and the city did absolutely nothing, so it ended up being a battle between the two landowners. So,
Right. And I think that, you know, it's not our goal to get involved in something that is, you know, after the fact, but, you know, prior to approving them, you know, for instance, in our ordinance, we state that, you know, the solar right to radiation of the sun before 9 a.m. and after 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is de minimis. And, you know, so that can be infringed upon, but that, you know, pretty much during the other times of the day that, you know, we should just be cognizant of that when we are approving future building permits around the area of that person that now has the solar right. Because, you know, a person could potentially put solar panels that are mounted on posts closer to the ground. You know, and that's something else to take into consideration, so.
My concern is somebody's ability to have future enjoyment of their property. If someone
Oh, yeah,
plants
absolutely.
ground-based ones and all of a sudden they're like, no, but I've already taken access to the first 90 feet of your property because you can't build anything there.
Got
Maybe
it.
they can sell them their extra power.
I'm just,
yeah, there is a provision on that. It's
I get what you're saying.
5, I think, restrictions on solar rights. 5A, solar collectors must be located on the solar user's property so as not to restrict the uses of neighboring property unreasonably or unnecessarily. So, you know, that might come into play on a building permit review or something.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and I think ultimately most people plan to put them on their roof anyway. It's really, we'll just have to do a little bit more investigating when it comes to somebody that wants to mount it on a post or posts.
My guess is our biggest challenge with this will be with the North Wells, a new building going up there, rather than in town where it's mostly developed. And hopefully, the ones out there are got enough space, it'll be okay, or small enough trees that aren't planted yet.
Yeah, I don't see it being a huge issue, but you're right, we should have something in place before we have a problem, but we're going to have to be more diligent, not only reviewing these permits, but reviewing,
Yes,
obviously, we don't review tree planting, but
right.
our citizens need to be aware of what's next to them and how that might impact their neighbor.
Yeah, and Mayor, I think that's the purpose of 3 readings is, you know, people can kind of soak on it and raise those issues and maybe we can play around with it a little bit.
What I really like is when you apply for one that you have, I mean, it's fairly cumbersome and you have to
Is
you know,
detailed.
you have to acknowledge you have neighbors and inform them, and they have a right to have input on it, so I guess. Me.
Okay.
Any other discussion about it?
Not really discussion, but I think we will have a conflict of interest at some point regardless of what we have in here. I think that's just the nature of these new steps in solar panel, power and, you know, personal homes kind of thing.
Yep. Well, good. I
Um,
don't think we don't have to approve a reading, do we?
Yeah, on first reading,
Oh, first
just a
reading.
voice vote.
I move to approve ordinance 2022-05 on the first reading.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2022-05 on the first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 12, ordinance 2023-01, first reading. The annual appropriation ordinance for the town of Pine Bluffs, Wyoming for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022 and ending June 30th, 2023.
Mayor and council, we anticipate a budget revenue stream of $9,853 and $9,853,522, which is broken down as follows: our general fund of $1,394,188, airport fund $93,214, our utility fund $2,010,300, and our capital projects at $6,355,820. Our projects, our utility fund and our airport fund are all balanced equally per statute. Our general fund, at this point, we have a little bit of wiggle room in our expenses, but when I say a little bit, it's a really little bit right now, so we just need to maybe tweak a few numbers. I did leave a little bit of a buffer in there in case you had any additions, questions, or concerns regarding any employee wages or any other expense items for the budget. The majority of our items are, you know, it stands to reason that most of them are very similar from year to year. We have had some expense increases, not only in our health insurance costs, but in our liability and our comprehensive insurance as well. You know, our prices are still very fair, but there are those increases that had to be taken into consideration. At this point in time, we are looking at a modest increase in employee wages, and it is not to all positions. It's to only those that need to be right-sized as far as where they were at in wages, and that total increase is $36,900, which is a combination of 7 positions.
Are they
I'm
increasing?
sorry, seven positions, as well as some increases to what we anticipate in wages for our emergency medical services.
I got it.
So those aren't really calculated the same way.
The question I have about wages,
Is that
and
raised in there?
it's nothing specific, but when we had our workshop,
No, I don't think so.
were the current wages not updated yet in there?
Some of them were, of the ones that were increased, some of them I decreased a little bit, and, I would have to look at what I actually gave you guys for the workshop. I can look at that
Okay,
real quick
it's
to
not a
see,
big
but,
deal.
but the majority of
compare
them,
it.
yeah, I think the majority of those changes were in place at that time.
So how many did you increase? You said 7?
I think it's 7, let's see. Yes, 7 full-time positions, and then there was a $6,500 increase to our anticipated seasonal wages for lifeguards and archaeology site, as well as an additional, let's see, an additional $3,000 towards EMTs, or I'm sorry, $2,500 to EMTs from what we anticipated last year.
Is there an
I take
increase,
that back, there I go lying again, 10,000 for EMTs.
is there increase for recreation for Egley in there?
No, there is not. She was increased last year a significant amount. However, if that's something that you all would like to discuss based on performance, I suggest that we do that in a different session.
Well, we'll do it on the 28th. Well, that's my.
Yeah, don't
I just think if we're
I
gonna
don't think it's
discuss employee,
appropriate to
employee
talk about it.
performance, that should be done in either an executive session
Okay.
or a non-public meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions on the budget?
I move to approve ordinance 2023-01 on the first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 2023-01 on the first reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13, originally item 6, is a conditional use and building permit for 207 Walnut Avenue. And before we get started, I would like to state a conflict of interest on this matter. I will not be taking part in the discussion or voting.
I will also be abstaining from this discussion and vote due to a conflict of interest.
Do we, have a chair?
I'll do it.
Well, I can still chair, I just can't vote or discuss it, but you can talk to him though. Do we need to officially make you the chair?
Oh,
I don't know how that works.
He looks like a chair to me.
Feels like a heel. Alrighty. Well, I guess. Chris is here. He's the one that sent us a letter. I guess my main question is in B residential. I know we've done this in the past, and a matter of fact, we even still have a garage that was built to have a home put by it. It has never happened, and the garage is still there. So,
I know that.
you know, I think we're kind of set a precedence there that maybe this, you know, I'm sure that this is probably, I don't have no heartache or problem with this deal because where it's gonna be located, it's kind of in an industrial area anyway. The building directly to the south of it is already a barnuminium. And so I don't have a problem with it, but that's just my feelings, and Alex, tell me, you know, if I'm wrong thinking that, but, I don't really see a problem, because eventually somebody will build on the west side of that lot, probably a nice home, and this will be, you know, they're just getting the shop before the house.
Okay, so, the question is more procedural than substantive. I know where you're talking about there. And the problem is that I'm assuming, I haven't looked at the map, and I'm assuming it's in A residential.
B, I think.
Or is it in B residential? It wouldn't really matter, but I'm assuming it's
Yeah,
in
B,
B residential?
yeah.
Okay, so, in B residential, we can do conditional
Yeah.
permits for townhouses, multifamily dwellings, hospitals, churches, schools, other training enterprises, public parks, open space, non-commercial recreation areas, and home occupations, all right? We also have height limitations, but I don't think we'd be in trouble on those. So what's supposed to happen is there's a map and it has all the boundaries of the zones. And we're supposed to have an ordinance that changes that boundary from B residential to, I think it would work fine in C commercial. I mean, obviously it would work okay in D commercial also, but I think it would work in C commercial. Now, here's the question for the proponent, through you to Chris. That would probably take us a few weeks to get that done. I think we'd all like to know kind of what your timeline is on this and how many hoops we're putting in the racetrack for you.
Well, we would like
Chris?
to get it approved. Yes. Do I have to speak into this?
No.
We would like to get it going as soon as possible so we can get our building permit. All the contractors are backed up pretty far, so as soon as we can get on their waiting list, the better. But if there's hoops we need to jump through, I think we're happy to move forward and do whatever we need to do to get on that.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead, Alex.
so ideally then, I mean, we could read an ordinance by title tonight. I just happen to have one here. As well as a rough draft scribbled out that nobody will be able to read. But we could do that. And all you gotta do is have 3 readings in 10 days. So, we've got probably a committee meeting where we could, tee up a public deal on that.
Okay.
And then the next time around, we could approve it on 3rd. The whole point behind this is to keep the integrity of the community out there so that the neighbors don't come back and say, well, wait a second, how did that thing get there? This was supposed to be residential. And so you're at least giving the neighbors an opportunity to come in and express their views on it. Sometimes what we've done is notify the neighbors. Just go say, hey, I don't know if you've talked to them.
Yeah, we've talked to our neighbor to the south, owner
Right.
of the barn dominium, and just expressed our interest in building a storage facility, and he seemed quite all right with it.
He was okay with it?
Yes, sir.
So that's good. I mean, we've covered that base. The other thing, though, in this area over there, as long as we're doing this, we might want to see if other people in that area want to get this zone change now. And just, because there's a number of places there that would fit better in commercial than residential. So
Right.
we could fix some problems going forward at the same time if that was the desire to do that.
Does Butler Street fall into residential over there?
It's half and half.
It's half and half with the top half, I mean, the north
No, it's
part?
the west
north.
half versus the east half.
Because, because it's all construction over there, I mean, even the town's got a maintenance building over there and stuff, you know?
And that's why I said it's more east half and west half, and.
Yeah.
But then some of the west half is also because of the Y-Dot shop and the
Yeah.
town shop, so. So it really is an odd area for zoning on those
Well,
couple of blocks.
You got the RV park and you got the industrial park over there, sitting over there too.
Right, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think the industrial park's C. I don't
Yeah.
think it's A.
Well, that's on
Or
Butler
could be,
Street.
yeah.
Unrelated to this specific issue, but to your point, you have the zoning in front of you. Just to your suggestion, which I think is a good one, but is there a commercial zone that would allow for the current barn dominium, for lack of a better word, that's there in our commercial zones that would allow a residence in a commercial zone?
I'm not sure I get the question.
So if you were to block off a larger area, would people be able to build occupied,
Oh, sure.
large structures that can be family occupied within the commercial zone?
Absolutely, because each one there's basically 5 main zones. And they go all the way from pure residential to industrial. And whenever you move up the scale one, it incorporates all the uses below it. So you could go industrial, which is E, and you could build a house there.
and actually that east side of Butler is Zone E. So,
There you are. So that one's okay.
yeah.
So, what that would mean is, we're not supposed to act on a building permit if the zoning isn't right. And I noticed on the checklist that the zoning was marked okay. And that kind of threw me off. I try to go through the agendas ahead of time, but if you look at the building permit, under reviews, zoning, public works, approved, it says yes. So it looked like the zoning was approved, and
Got it.
that was
Okay.
a little miscue there, but, so, I guess the takeaway is that I don't hear any major objection to it. So, I think, especially if you've talked to the neighbors and stuff, it's probably gonna pass like long hay through a short horse. But, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to go, okay?
Right. So I guess we need to at least have a first reading on the change. Would you mind?
No, I will read. Somebody needs to move it, though. I'm not getting involved in that. So it would sound like this. An ordinance amending the zone map of the town of Pine Bluffs by changing certain specified property from B residential to C commercial, providing for an effective date.
Okay. Is there a motion?
How many neighbors did you talk to? I'm just curious.
The only one we've talked to is our neighbor to the south with the barndominium, and then the town lot with the.
talking to the other neighbor.
Yeah, you guys are the other neighbor on the north.
Okay. That's true.
All right,
So moved.
we got a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, pass on first reading.
So just quickly though, Alex, to clear that up, you said, what was your 10-day rule?
You have to do an ordinance, you have to have 3 readings, and the shortest time span they can be
Oh,
in is
okay,
10
shortest.
days.
10 days.
Okay.
Unless it's an emergency, and then you can do them all in one day.
Okay. Is this an emergency?
Depends how you classify it. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
you. Moving on to visitor comments. Anyone?
May I have the floor?
Sure, Gary.
I passed out a sheet, I have 3 items that are mainly just for your information. First off, we have our annual Pine Bluffs High Plains Ride for Sight bike ride. Will be May 29th. It starts at the city park. So I'm gonna be asking the city park if we have the restrooms unlocked that day for the bikers and the workers. I've seen that the streets have been swept already. We go down Fifth Street to Beach. We will have a SAG person there to watch the bikes go from Fifth to Beach. But I'm gonna talk to one of your town policemen. We usually have a town policeman when they go from Beach to 30 for safety reasons when we're leaving. Coming back, because they're so spread out, then it's not a safety factor. So, so that's the first item. Any questions?
Don't believe so.
Our second item is the Pine Bluff Lions Club is hosting the State Lions Convention this year. And Thursday will be here in Pine Bluffs. It will start at 1 o'clock. 1 to 4 is a symposium. It's free to the public. It's called Teamwork with a Kick. Who we have is, we have a Lion International Director from South Carolina presenting, and a district governor, a past district governor from New Mexico, and a past district governor from Colorado presenting. And they are phenomenal. They're certified Lion instructors on leadership. So anybody is free to come. From around 4:15 to 5, Dirty Gardens Group, Second Sunday Salt will perform. For the Lions, we'll have about 60 Lions in town. And then from 5:30 to 9, we're hosting a cream can dinner cooked by Dennis Tallis and served at the old high school. I invited Mark as a mayor to represent the town and to welcome the Lions to Pine Bluffs. And he's gonna work on that. If he can, he'll probably ask for a volunteer. So, be ready, Mike.
Okay, I'll be gone.
You and, Justin, you and your wife, if they come, your wife can come, it's paid for by the Lions Club already as our guest. It is $12 a plate. Second, any questions on Thursday? The rest of the time, it will be in Cheyenne, a little America. So the third item I'd like to talk to you about is, on Friday night, we do host an auction, live and silent auction to benefit the camp. The lion camp on Casper Mountain is the oldest lion camp in the world. So, and that's the main dining hall, kitchen area that you see. So, it's on 8,500 feet. Mainly we serve a lot of groups of disabled kids. We do 2 schools, one for youth, one for adults for the blind, visually impaired. We do kids with Down syndrome and all kinds of stuff. Camp postcard, if you've never heard of that. There are 6th and 7th graders that are on the cusp of turning one way or the other, and we work with the police officers, and they come in and work with those kids for a week to build a relationship between law enforcement and those kids. So that live auction will be at Alf's Pub in Cheyenne. And you probably know Alf does the Thankful Thursday night. So going with that is the Pine Bluff Distilling has donated 10 bottles of whiskey for that auction. Tied to those bottles of whiskey is a 9mm pistol. So to be open for the pistol, you're gonna have to buy one of those bottles of whiskey.
Yeah. Whiskey
Sounds
and
like a
guns
great
together.
combination.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that.
There, we will have, what do they call, food trucks there. So the drinks are on your own, not us, but that benefits the maintenance of our camp and the paying the salaries. Okay? Lions throughout the state have donated. This area has always manufacturers donated an American flag with the Wyoming symbol in it. I've made a lamp, some artwork, wooden mugs with snack bowls in a tray. I've donated to them, plus a piece of artwork, abstract artwork out of wood, quilt, table runners, barbecuers, all kinds of stuff. So if you want a good time, it's Al's Pub on Friday the 13th. Come in and help us out. Any questions?
I think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Any other visitor comments?
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know who picked the date.
Mayor and council, just want to give you a quick update. For the last couple of years, I've worked with the town to refurbish and maintain the archery course up in the Bluffs. And we're doing that again this year. I've committed to maintain that for at least 5 years. And I'm working with Kim this year to get some new signage for the archery course. And we'll also be extending the distances on some of those range targets during the summer. There'll be an ongoing project this summer. The course is now open. It'll be open to the public free of charge from the first week of May until the last week of October. And we'll just maintain that from year to year. So we hope to have new signage up there this year and possibly some other improvements that you'll see either later this year or next spring. So just wanted to give that quick update and get that out to the public. So, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to tell you where we meet at, the old high school, the boardroom.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council, I was asked by a resident of the town who couldn't, wouldn't, or shouldn't be here at the Town Council meeting tonight, what the status was on the review of the pet ordinance. Every time I see this individual, I'm asked if I've heard anything, and I says, no, I haven't. Have you? So I was asked to ask you what the status was on that.
So, we've had it under review. We've made it quite a ways through the process, but I'm gonna be brutally honest about this. We've ran right into budget season and we ran right into, you know, the solar ordinance and many other things that, while we all know we would like to finish up the animal ordinance, it's just kind of fallen a few notches down, but it's not off of our list. It's just, it's a tough time of year to finish that up with, as you could see, there was 6 resolutions, 12 ordinances, and it wasn't that bad. But there's a few things that are time sensitive, whereas we don't doubt the importance of getting that fixed up, but my take is some of these other items are more necessary for the time being.
I understand, I'll pass that along. Getting into the warm season, That means people's house windows are gonna be open at night. And in my area, there's dogs barking all the time. So I will diplomatically approach those pet owners and ask them to please do something with their pets. I have done that in the past, and it hasn't worked, but I will try again and see what happens.
Well, I believe that's, that would be covered under our current ordinance, and to the extent that you need to call our police department, and I understand it's a process, and I understand it's imperfect, but that's the avenue we have currently to,
Okay, all
Because
right.
technically, isn't that more under our nuisance and noise than?
I think it
under-
is,
It wouldn't be
but,
covered
yeah,
under the
it is.
animal part
Right,
anyway.
right.
So, yeah.
but to your point, I think our local residents need to be aware of, what their dogs are doing while they're going fishing all day, or, whatever.
Or maybe
going
they're
to
so
work
used
all
to them
day.
barking that they don't realize they're actually
Yeah.
barking.
Well, I think it would be good for people just to be cognizant of that.
Okay.
Um,
One last item is, we're finally done with my mom's house. And, we're done with the dumpster on the street. Thank you very much for placing that and the other one that was there for, seemed like eternity, but it was only 8.5 months, and we're done with it. So if in a fashion when you can pick it up, that is fine, but we're done with it. So thank you again very much.
You were on the
Yeah, you're
pickup
welcome.
list.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's the last of our visitors. Department reports, Jenna?
No department report, but just going off what Carrie said, I have seen the ordinance, it's very thorough, and I've had lots of people reach out to me about it, and I will stay on it too, so.
Thank you.
No worries there, it is coming, and I understand the frustration with, other people's pets, so.
Bubba?
Nothing really, other than somebody come with a concern about the location of the new fence and the trees at the cemetery. Why the trees are so close to the new fence.
The new fence isn't even up yet.
It's being
Oh, okay.
put up. And I'm just curious why, not just me, but
Sure. So the trees are anywhere from 6 to 10 feet away from the new fence. The new trees are deciduous trees, so they don't require as much girth at the base of the tree as the evergreen trees did. So we don't anticipate there be any issue. The other thing is the fence is essentially going in the same spot as the other fence was. And the trees are kind of going in a very similar spot that the other trees were. It's just in that middle section where we didn't have trees in the past. That's where it may look. But yeah, they're an appropriate distance away from the fence, considering the species of the tree that's growing,
I will pass that on.
so,
Thank you.
yes. But progress is really rolling along quite well at the cemetery, and, we anticipate, that we will start hydro seeding here within the next couple of weeks. They're gonna plan to hydro seed in a manner that will not affect any foot traffic for Memorial Day weekend. So it may mean that one section has been hydro seeded and one is not. Some of that was just due to weather conditions that just were not the greatest
So
during the month of April.
when are they gonna kill it? Or have they already?
They've already sprayed it. And they'll be spraying it one more time before they hydro seed. The spray that they used, they usually prefer that there be some moisture afterward. So the lack of rain and the lack of high enough temperatures to turn the sprinkler on in April, or especially the first half of April, led to a little bit of delay in getting that to the point where it's ready for hydro seed. So that's why they were moving forward with some of the other items.
Sure. Okay.
And they were able to level out that front edge so that we didn't have that big bump up in the
That's good.
concrete, and they lowered some things. So, yeah, I think that, you know, for the concern when we had to take down all those old trees, I think that it's gonna look pretty nice once all the new trees come in. And they are all cottonwoods. They are, the non-cotton producing cottonwoods, so similar to the species that's at City Park around the edge. So they'll grow pretty quick once they get going.
Okey-dokey, I have nothing else.
Nothing new for me.
I had the same thing Bubba had on the, not the cemetery, but the city park. I think some of those trees in the walkway are dead. I was looking at them today and they look, there's nothing on them.
You know, every year we have issue, with those crab apples along that center walkway.
It's the walkway.
And we're not quite sure, you know, we can't seem to find anything significantly wrong when we do soil testing in that area. And so, you know, now that we have a professional landscaper out there working on the park on a regular basis, I think that they'll be able to help with that, you know, especially with chemical spraying and all that.
Yeah,
to be
'cause it
sure that
looked
we
like-
haven't done anything to,
I think I counted 3 or 4 that looked dead out there, right in that walkway,
Yeah.
you know?
yeah. And it's just those crab apples in that area, and every year we seem to lose, you know, 3 or 4 of those crab apples. One year we had, you know, fire blight really bad, around the entire town, not just in City Park. And, I think we've worked with the residents who have had those issues and, you know, gave them some education on how to get rid of it without it spreading, cause it can spread pretty bad once
The
it
same
starts.
outfit that's doing the cemetery is taking care of the city park.
Correct.
So if you just get a chance to tell them to go down and take a look at them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we'll tell them to take a peek.
They look pretty bad.
Yeah, they are, and like I said, each year we lose, you know,
Okay.
3, 4, 5 of them, and it's kind of frustrating, because now they're not all the same size anymore, so.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Alex? Sonia, you have anything else?
Nope, I don't.
I see we got the pool drain today, or either that or we had a fire
Big leak.
hydrant rupture. Something happened up there.
Yeah, no, they started the process of draining it today.
Great. Jackie,
Nothing.
anything else?
Our recycle center we're just about ready to have a grand opening of our new drive-in recycle center. We've got the area graded out, and they're getting some gravel put in there so that we'll be able to add a few more recycled dumpsters to that area. Our cleanup week was a big success, thanks to the partnership we had with the landfill folks. They helped us out, and we were done in record time, with record weights of stuff going to the landfill. And in case folks haven't noticed, we had our first delivery of 32 new dumpsters go out to the commercial area of town. So we have more commercial dumpsters left to get, and then we'll start on the residential, but it may be about 6 months out before we get our next delivery, unfortunately, due to the same issue that every other manufacturer on the planet is having right now. Tough to get supplies and tough to get people to put the supplies together, so,
Great.
yeah, but they are on
Yeah, they
order,
look
so.
nice.
They look nice.
If we could get people to close the lids after they
Sure,
put something
yeah.
on.
And we do have big stickers, just waiting for Always is putting those together for us to get them put on the dumpsters. It's kind of the rules of the dumpster.
Great.
I move to adjourn.
Well, let's
No.
talk about the next meeting really quick.
Let's talk about this.
When's our
I'm
next
sorry.
scheduled meeting? But I'm with you on that, but.
Way to go.
So coming up with May 24th at noon is our steering committee meeting for our community master plan. They're compiling all the data that they've collected from the online surveys that they had out, and they're putting all that together, and they're gonna be presenting that to our steering committee. And, I believe right now their plan is to meet with you all in July at the regular council meeting in July. That's kind of the goal right now. And then May 25th at 4 o'clock would be our next cow meeting, if you all are so inclined.
And we will have to have a special meeting for the second reading of our budget at that one as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, we'll have a special meeting as well.
Might be a little
Are
late.
there any
Oh, okay,
issues
great.
with that? Oh, that's probably gonna be a problem.
Which
We're
one?
going to have to, two of us are still going to be abstaining, so we probably
Well, we
need
can
to
We'll
have.
need
do it
Jana to
after,
be there.
you can start the cow and do the special second, can't you?
Do the special session after the cow meeting.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know if that's.
I can be here right at 4, I'll just have 2 of my kids for 15 minutes.
No, that's all
for
right.
decision.
I don't care if
What, we,
if moving it back by a half an hour makes a difference on that, we can.
It does for me, at least for my husband, he's not.
It does for me too.
All right, so let's change
I
the
don't
time
care.
to 4:30.
okay, you wanna do 4:30, okay.
4:30. That's the 24th,
Okay, 25th.
25th.
25th at 4:30 for the cow and special meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. All right,
Okay, now you can do it, Bubba.
Move to adjourn.
move to
Second.
adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn, all in favor.
Aye.
All those opposed.